Chukwudi Iwuji might have already made his DC debut in Peacemaker, but after Guardians Volume 3, it's pretty clear that this guy deserves way more. His talent is way too good to waste on a one and done role. So today let's talk about why I think Iwuji should return to the DCU and what roles he would absolutely crush. Let's go back and look at the different roles that he has played under James Gunn. He's played Merv in Peacemaker and he played the High Evolutionary in Guardians Volume 3. Looking back at Merv in Peacemaker, he had a lot of passion. There was a lot of intensity that he brought to that role, basically whenever he was talking to anybody in the group, because everyone was just pissing him off the entire time. But there was also like a lot of sadness to his character, and there was something there. I think that he was a little bit underutilized in that, but even feeling that way, he still brought it. He still made an impact on me watching the whole show. I loved his character, and even though his character arc did wrap up, I loved what he did. And then looking at the High Evolutionary in Guardians Volume 3, that is the best villain post-Endgame that Marvel has given us. Hands down, you hated that character. He brought so much like cold, calculated intellect with the decisions that he was making, and there was just no soul in that man, and he really portrayed that so well in that movie. I loved his portrayal as the High Evolutionary. It is a very memorable villain in the MCU, and they don't have a lot of those. So going into why I think he deserves to come back into the DCU, but not even just in a role, but in a huge role, a much bigger role than he got with Merv and Peacemaker, it's because of his acting. It's because of the range that he brought to the different characters that we've already seen him do. He's been cold and calculated, he's been unhinged, he's been tragic, he's been all of those things across those two different characters, and I think it's about time he comes back into this new, rebooted DCU and gives us another memorable performance. Now, I initially put this idea on my Threads account and people were responding like crazy, but the two names that kept getting brought up are Brainiac and Darkseid. And when you really sit there and think about it, and think about the High Evolutionary, when you think of Merv, when you think of the range that this guy can bring to these characters, it makes so much sense. So let's go and talk about Brainiac first. You can kind of see the similarities between the High Evolutionary and Brainiac and what he can do with that, but there's a lot more that he can do with that with Brainiac. And I don't think that Brainiac, whenever he does get introduced to the DCU, it's not gonna be a one and done villain. It's not like he's gonna come in for one movie and be completely gone. If he comes into the DCU and Chukwudi is cast as him, he needs to be around for a long time. He already showed us that he can be cold and calculated with the High Evolutionary, but there are layers and there are different things that he can do with Brainiac to just elevate that game even more. I like to think of it as the High Evolutionary 2.0. And then if you look at Darkseid and you look at the differences between Darkseid and Brainiac, they're actually kind of similar. There are a lot of differences, but they are kind of similar. Darkseid is going to be a lot more stoic, a lot more godlike and very calm and collected, and you never know what's going to happen. I feel like Chukwudi, because of his range, like I was talking about, and how passionate he can go and how intense he can go, I don't know if Darkseid would be the role for him with that, because we wouldn't get that side of him that he can bring. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. What do you all think? Out of those two characters, who do you think he would play better, Brainiac or Darkseid? I think it's gonna be Brainiac for me. Another thing to consider is that he has gotten such great performances out of James Gunn. The chemistry is already there. Look, if James Gunn has this vision of where he wants to go with the DCU and the big bad, whether it's Brainiac, Darkseid, whoever, I think he needs to bring in a character, an actor, to play that character that he knows, that he has this chemistry with, that he gets the best performance out of. And Chukwudi might be that person. Now, I know that none of this could happen. I know that this could just be a hopeful dream of mine and none of this could ever happen even 5-10 years down the road. That's completely fine. But one thing I want to talk about is Peacemaker Season 2. There's one trailer out, there's going to be another one out, and it comes out in a few weeks. The actual Season 2 comes out in a few weeks, but in all the marketing, we have characters returning from Season 1, and even some of them that didn't survive Season 1. So how does that work, right? Well, now's the time to bring him back. If there's a reason that we're not seeing him in the marketing, it might be because he's coming back as a different character. Now, is it going to be Brainiac? Are they going to introduce Brainiac or Darkseid in Peacemaker Season 2? Probably not. But that does lead me to believe that he might be coming back as someone completely different. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make with this video is that Chukwudi's a great actor, period. And a lot of his best performances and a lot of the performances that we have seen, the general audience have seen him in, is Peacemaker and Guardians, both by James Gunn. So if you have an actor who you get the best results from, use him, bring him into the DCU and make him a staple in what you have going forward. But What do you all think? Do you want to see him play Darkseid? Do you want to see him play Brainiac? Maybe a different character? Maybe you want to see him play a hero? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more DC content, because there's going to be a lot of that coming up. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.